How is everybody? Happy Friday! It's been quite a week. Having having Halloween falling in during the week is it's nice, but it's also it kind of sucks. Um, yeah, so it's been one heck of a week. I have acquired a handful of things, and it's been awesome, and I've been so fortunate. If you don't know, check out my videos on the channel for the latest and greatest stuff that I've acquired, and you'll know what I'm talking about. I'll show some things off here in a little bit once we get a few more people in here. Besides Mr. Groundfog, T Fitch. How are you, man? Might skip being whiskey. And Neil is in the house. Hello, sir. How are you? And Broke Ass Knives is in. Glad to see you join. Glad to see you. Good stuff. Good stuff. So today's live is gonna be. I've got a story to share about some funny shit that happened with with my son and the new man purse that I've been using and trying to dedicate myself to carrying around. New knives, obviously. Particularly one that I have been crushing on for such a long time. So we'll talk about that. And then I also wanted to talk about, because this is my favorite time of the year. I love it when it's fall and the cooler weather starts to hit, but yet it's not freezing. If you live in an area that gets more freezing rain than you do snow, you really hate it when it's that cold. So it's kind of nice. The fall, leaves changing colors, and some nice weather. Days where you can wear shorts and a sweatshirt for a little bit, and then it's long pants. But yeah, I love this weather. And one of the greatest things I love about this weather, which is kind of health-wise, might not be so great. One, I drink more coffee. I definitely drink more coffee when it's colder outside. Two, I really get into my pies. I love pie. I love pie so damn much. All sorts of pies. And then so that's not necessarily the healthiest thing. Although there are healthy pies. Pumpkin pie is fairly healthy, depending on how many pounds of whipped cream or ice cream you pile on with it. Same thing with apple pie. Apple pie is a rather healthy pie, generally speaking, until you add a bunch of cinnamon and sugar and that whipped cream or ice cream. But yeah, I love my pies. And then another thing that gets ramped up that I eat a lot more of is soups, chilies, Brunswick stews, regular stews. Yeah, some of that stuff is a lot of sodium and some occasionally calories that you don't really need. But soup is good, and like having a nice bowl of chunky, thick, hearty soups, just it warms your soul and just feels so good. And yeah, and soup is one of those things that you can put whatever you want in it, right? Make it fully customized. And then the other two things that I indulge more of during the colder months is marginally indulge more is your hard alcohol. I tend to drink a little bit more hard alcohol than I do beer during the colder months. During the summer, it's like 80% beer and other fruitier cocktail type drinks, rum, particularly rum based drinks, and vodka. Although since the wife and I have been together, since my wife does not do vodka very well, like at all, it's actually hilariously pathetic. Like, I can make one of those in one of those blenders, the singular tubed blenders. Like one person uh, blender bottles that comes with the lid, and then you can drink straight from the bottle that attaches to the blender on its own. What are those? Usually about 24 ounces, I think, is what they make. Something like that. 20 to 24 ounce deals. I like to do fruit smoothies and then add the vodka into the fruit smoothie. I love doing that during the summertime. But I don't go for that during the winter time, during the colder months. So I typically go with your hard alcohol. And I love adding things to coffee. I love adding some your bourbon based whiskeys and stuff to coffee is nice. It's a nice touch, especially in the evenings. And then lastly, cigars. Cigars. I don't do cigarettes. That stuff is freaking nasty and so damn bad for you. It's a little controversial on whether or not cigars are bad for your health necessarily. I think that greatly depends on whether or not you smoke a cigar correctly, and that is to not inhale it into your lungs and keep it in your and hold it in your lungs, not expose your lungs to it. That's not how you're supposed to do a cigar. Um, but there are a few arguments that smoking cigars is actually healthy because it's a very natural, just plant wrapped tobacco leaves with some natural spices and sometimes if you get flavored ones, it's natural flavors, a lot of natural flavors, chocolate and coffee flavored cigars is very, very common. So obviously coffee grounds and chocolate from the cocoa beans, very natural ingredients are put in cigars, not all that garbage that you'll find in cigarettes. So if you're not into drinking or you're sober and staying sober and you've conquered the addiction, bravo. I couldn't be happier for you. I really couldn't. It sucks having anything, whether it's tobacco, or another drug, or alcohol, ruin your life, pull you away from the things in life that truly matter, and that's above all your family and your closest family and loved ones, but then also your friends. When it starts to interfere with your relationships with the people that you care most and they care most about you, and then also your financial and physical, if anything, physical ability to be there. That's when it's extremely bad. And anybody who's conquered that and gotten away from that and is abstinent from those addictive substances, I really couldn't be happier for you. I am one of the few where we are a majority that are not affected by that as far as addiction or interference with life. Alcohol and I get along just fine. I handle my alcohol very well. I'm very respectful of what it does, and what it can do. And I know my limitations, and I behave. Essentially, I enjoy myself, but I behave. I don't drink to get drunk. I have not done that in an extremely long time. I enjoy flavors. I enjoy variety. I enjoy exploring all that's out there and learning. That's really, for me, that's what it's about, both with cigars and with alcohol, whether it's beer or hard liquor, mainly your bourbon based drinks. I like my whiskey and my scotch and bourbon, obviously, which is what the rest of these are pulled from. I'm not so big with gin. I do love my rum. I don't care for tequila, and I'm solid with vodka. No, I don't do not drink vodka straight. There's no joy in that. Even your little fruity flavored vodkas, I like it when it's in something. So that's as much as that goes. We'll talk about that later at the end for anybody who wants to stick around for that part of the live today. I'll go more into what my favorites are, and what my go-tos are, and the process that I have with all of that. So that'll be towards the end. What I want to talk about, well, let's see. We got Sean here. I would love to get a few more of y'all. What's up? Where is everybody at? Where's everybody at? Let's see. Yeah, let me grab this real quick. So I have an emergency go bag that has it's a get out of town emergency bag that has a 22 rifle in it, has a full size fixed blade, has food to get me by for a handful of days. Hey, and little man's right here. What's up, Suburban? Mwah. How you doing, kiddo?
Good.
All right, why don't you go watch TV or play on PlayStation or something?
I'll wash my hands.
Oh, wash them in the other bathroom. All right, I'm live right now. Go on, get out of here. Go do your own thing before the other two annoying brat children get home. Right. So all right. So I have my go bag. Sean, to answer that question real quick, chili. I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not a fan of beans. I really could care less for beans. But check out on my channel. I have and did a chili cook-off at my job at work. I didn't win. It kind of sucked, but is what it is. I learned a lot. I really, really learned a lot. It was my first time ever cooking chili. Again, because I'm not a big fan of chili, and I really, really don't like beans. But as I've gotten older, I've been more accustomed. I've been more willing to eat things with beans in them. But if the biggest no-no is just canned beans, just canned refried beans, I can't stand the canned Bush's beans. That stuff, no. That's an absolute no-go for me. Get out of here. Oh, you're getting chapstick. Okay. Go on. But yeah. So I did make a chili. It was my first time making chili. And arguably, debatably, it was a little bit less of a chili and more like a super infused, beefed up version of of Sloppy Joe, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of like a mix between chili and Sloppy Joe. So it wasn't a typical. It wasn't your average chili, I would say. I put a whole bunch of stuff in it that I like, that I really like, that mixing together made something that was quite delicious. The only complaint that people had at work when they were trying it, tasted mine, was that the beans that I used dry kidney beans, and I went through the proper process of soaking them overnight and cooking and boiling them for a good 45 minutes to an hour, and then adding them to the chili and cooking the chili for 2+ hours. But yet, despite all that, I don't know what it was up with these dried kidney beans, but I could not get them to get soft and cook 100%. Like, I cooked them to a point where they were completely safe to eat, but they were a little on the crunchier side of things, and that was a big deterrent in the chili that I made. So again, yeah, there's so many beans that you could have used here. I'll grab the bag. I have it right there in the kitchen. Hold on. Yeah, hey. All right, these are the ones that I got. The Goya red kidney beans. It was a 14-ounce bag, and I put maybe about 9 to 10 ounces worth in there. So yeah, and the instructions on here say to the soaking methods: half pound dry beans, add to 3 to 4 cups of water, boil for 2 minutes, then set aside for 1 hour or let stand in 3 to 4 cups of cold water overnight. Drain and rinse beans. Yeah, so they got cooked way longer than that, and soaked for way longer than that, and yet they still did not come out the way that most people prefer them to be. So yeah, the beans part failed. I might have possibly had a much better chance of winning the competition if I had not put any beans in it at all. And again, I did like the 9 to 10 ounces of beans with 2 full pounds worth of meat. And so and I felt like that was a fair ratio. But then when I was eating it myself, and again, because I'm not a fan of beans, I felt like I had too many beans in there. But I guess that it totally depends on whether or not you like beans or you don't like beans. If you like your chili to have beans, or prefer chili not to have beans. So beans, right? All right. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about first, now that I got a bunch of y'all in here now, thank you for showing up. Gone Alry, what's up? Randy in the house. And Maddie. What's up, Maddie? Yeah. So Mr. Fartis Maction. Fartis Maction. That's a little tough to say. So I have a couple of videos out. I have a video showing this bag, EDC everyday carry bag, gear bag, man purse, fanny pack, whatever you want to call it. And then there was another one that I tested out that was more of like a tactical-ish type, Velcro surface that actually had Velcro holster bits for, putting a small pistol in the bag. I tried out that kind, and it was more like a sling bag, whereas this is more like I call it a burrito bag. It's basically a fanny pack, but not a fanny pack because the strap is a full piece strap. There's no buckle, and it's not the length of the strap. The style of the strap is not designed for really for this thing to go around your waist like a fanny pack is supposed to go around your waist. So this is more of like a burrito style sling bag, gear bag. And I put a whole bunch of stuff in it that I felt like I was willing enough to haul around with me, and it weighs a little less than 4 pounds, like 3.9 pounds, three something like that. So it's less than 4 pounds with all the stuff, and really the stuff that I put in it. There's probably some things that I could leave at home or in the car, and only carry it from time to time when I'm going certain places, attending certain events. But so I tried this bag and I tried the other bag, and I tried this one first, and I liked it. I liked the simplicity. I liked the durability. I liked the color, the look of it. The strap was comfortable, and then I tried the other bag, the shoulder sling that with the tactical look to it and feel to it, and I tested this one for like 3 days or 4 days, and then I swapped all the stuff in it to the other bag and tried that bag, and I was only able to do about a day and a half with that bag, and I just did not like certain things about it so much. So I quickly transferred everything back to this one and said, fuck that other bag. I don't like it. It wasn't working out for me, wasn't ever going to. And so I quickly returned that through Amazon, got my money back. Because I did not like that bag. The two main reasons why I didn't like that bag was, one, it wasn't quite big enough to hold as much of the stuff that I wanted it to hold, and two, the the way the zippers, all the pockets in the zippers were just like very short zipper tracks. So to get stuff in and out of the pockets was more annoying, more frustrating, and and so I didn't like that about it. It was not a smooth in and out of the bag with items when I was trying to quickly grab something that I needed at that moment, and then trying to throw it back in and zip it back. Yeah, I did not like that bag. This guy is the winner, and it's a canvas bag, and I haven't coated it. I have a homemade mixture of waterproofing fabric wax. So I've got that that I need to coat the bag with, which you basically smear that wax mixture onto the fabric, and then you take a hair dryer. I prefer and recommend a hair dryer rather than a heat gun, because I feel like you can apply too much heat with the heat gun, and that would be bad. But you just want to warm it up nicely so it melts, so it really seeps into the fabric and really fills in the fabric with that protective waterproofing wax, and that truly like 99% waterproofs the fabric. So I haven't done that process yet, but I need to do that this weekend. Let me mute you guys for a second and get on to the kids for being loud when the older two just got home. So be right back. Woo! Kids. Teenage years suck. I hate it. But yeah, so I've got to do that to that bag and waterproof that bag. But as far as the stuff that's in it, I like having that stuff. I love having it at work. And so check those videos out. Check those, at least the one that shows all the stuff that I cram into the bag. The funny story that goes along with it is, if you watched the video already, you know that I started off with a pack of Nutter Butters. I had some Nutter Butters that the wife gave me that she gets at work for free. So that's pretty cool that she gets them for free, because who doesn't love Nutter Butters? I do. I love them. So we were at one of my daughter's soccer games. We were at her soccer game, and I brought the bag with me. That way I could keep our phones charged for doing videos and pictures, and when they weren't playing, we could entertain ourselves. But and then, had the chapstick for the couple of nights that were on the chillier side. Had my little tripod. I just had stuff that was useful, and I had the Nutter Butters that came in handy as a nice little snack, since it was like a 5:30 game, hour long. So 6:30, we're all freaking hungry and ready to go and get some dinner. So it was kind of nice having the Nutter Butters as a snack. But on the way to the game in the car, my 14-year-old son was picking on me about this bag. He was making fun of it, kept calling it a fanny pack and a man purse and a man bag and all that. He was teasing me about it. And so, yeah, it was like the second day that I had it with me, that I was trying to take it with me everywhere that I went. And so he was making fun of it. So he had no idea that there were Nutter Butters in it. So when I pulled out the Nutter Butters out of the bag and cracked them open, he was like, "Oh, like, I want some. Can you share, please?" And I was like, "You know what? You've been an asshole making fun of my freaking man purse, my gear bag. So no, forget you. I'm not sharing my Nutter Butters with somebody who is mean and teasing me about my bag. And so now you're going to regret having done that, because I ain't sharing." And so I sat there and just milked the hell out of eating this pack of Nutter Butters as slowly as I could, and it's enjoying and savoring and just exaggerating how much I was enjoying them, and just rubbed that shit all in his face. And he was so mad. He was damn near crying. He kept boo-hooing the whole time. He's like, "You're so mean, you won't share." So yeah, that's what I did. At the very end, I had like a third of a Nutter Butter left that I ended up giving him at almost the very end of the game. So I wasn't that big of a jerk, but no, I was a jerk. I rubbed it in pretty bad. I made him feel the pain. So yeah, that was awesome. That was fun. I enjoyed doing that to him. All right, so new knives this week. Was it this week, or was it last week? When did I get the Devo nip? Was it over the weekend? Hell, I don't even remember where I stuck it. I stuck it somewhere. Where is it? I don't see it in this drawer. I don't see it in this drawer. Where the hell did I sit down the Devo nip? Ah, here it is. It's in this drawer. See what happens when your collection gets so big? So I picked up the Devo nip. It's a fun little one. Check out the video on this that I did. I pointed out a lot of, again, I got nip picky. Had too much fun, man. Playing off of the name of the knife. But yeah, there are things that I wish that they had done differently. And the biggest, at the end of the day, what I wish they had done differently the most is make it just about 15 to 20% bigger. Still could have called it the nip. Would definitely still be considered a smaller knife. But just by having it just a little bit bigger, I think it would have been a lot better for a lot more people's larger hands. Yeah. So that's my main view on it. And then of course it's that that Devo price tag that many can complain about and is a bit of a harder pill to swallow. So really, Scott? You're talking about the nip? Good to see you in here, buddy. Glad you could join us. Yeah. Look, I can put the tip of my nose right in the hole. That's what she said. I've carried this. I dedicatedly carried this and used it almost solely for about 4 days. For like the first 4 full days of owning it, I carried it going to work and used it quite a bit. I've put two or three drops of oil around the pivot. Since then, I have no issues opening and closing it. So yeah, no, I've got no issues with mine as far as that goes. Then another one that I picked up actually just arrived yesterday. Yeah, yesterday or Wednesday, I forget. The days have literally blurred together this week. Like I can't tell you what happened from Monday. I probably got mixed up with shit that happened Tuesday, and yeah. But very recently, I received in the mail from White Mountain Knives look how shiny it is, the CGRB Pyrite with a warning blade, the best blade for this knife, in the aluminum frag, super light, still not as light as my Benchmade bug out with the micarta scales. That's in the video. That's kind of what I ended up talking the most and hitting the most on was, weight differences between this one and the standard aluminum pyrite, and in comparing it to a Benchmade bug out. So yep, got this guy. Really, really cool. I forget who. Somebody, was it B&A? I don't remember. Somebody asked me in the comments of the video today or yesterday. They commented and asked if I was going to try anodizing this aluminum. I don't think, as of right now, no. And I replied. I said, no, I don't have any intentions of anodizing this or doing any kind of a color job on it. I'm really going to focus first on just enjoying the frag pattern, because this is actually the first knife in my collection that I own that has the frag pattern on it. There's been many that I've wanted to get with frag scales, but just didn't for whatever insane reason. But yeah, so I'm just gonna enjoy and focus on enjoying the frag pattern, and I kind of like the shininess. It's super shiny, super shiny. So yeah, yeah, no plans at this point to do any coloring to it. And then the other knife that I got, and this one's the big news. This one, you have to, if you want to see me cry, if you want to see me get way too damn emotional over a knife, it's on this one right here. If you don't know, I'm fairly big fan of EMP EDC. John's an awesome guy. Cannot say enough good things about that dude. In the time that I spent with him at Blade Show, all 3 days, I spent an crazy amount of time at the EMP EDC booth, more than any other booth. I kept going back and kept going back to their booth. One, because him and Cole Tri-State and their wives were all, the 4 of them are a blast to hang out with. They are really a lot of fun, really nice people, and everything that EMP EDC cranks out, everything that John's done is freaking gold. It's money. I love all of this stuff. And the one that I love the absolute most right now is the Pulse OTF. This sucker, and again, I own 2 OTFs. This one and this one. I own this one right here. This is just a Cobra Tech, $100 D2 blade. It's like 2 3/4 inch blade. Just not a big guy. Got that big old fat glass breaker on the back end of it with a lanyard doodad hole even. So yeah, this was my first purchased OTF, and I've had it for maybe about 2 years, close to 2 years. And it's good. It's good for the money. It's good for $100. No complaints. The only time it's ever failed is when I've pretty much intentionally hit something with it. Fired it with the blade hitting something, and I've never had any issues with just pulling it out all the way carefully without cutting myself, and then it's right back in place and good to go. So yeah, I mean, say what you will about Cobra Techs, but this one's been pretty damn reliable for me. And I like the button switch, the actuation switch, and the size is pretty good. The thing that I don't like is the damn glass breaker on the back end of it. The clip's all right, not the greatest clip, but again, $100 for an OTF D2 blade steel, so solid blade steel for an OTF. Nothing dirt cheap, no soft steel there. But yeah, so and I've handled axial gear, I've handled Microtechs, I've handled so many OTFs. I've looked at OTFs because they interested me, and I really, really enjoyed having this when I'm just going on the bike for a ride, or running errands or whatever, and just spending more time on the bike for the day than doing anything else, just dedicating the majority of my day to riding the bike. I love having this thing. I've really enjoyed being able to have an OTF in my pocket, for the sake that with motorcycle gloves on, I have absolutely zero issues with yanking this out, getting that blade out, using it, making a cut or two, and then getting it all put back away, back in the pocket, still with gloves on, safely, fast, easy, smooth, and it just works so damn well. Really, really vouch for having, when you're dedicating your day to being on the motorcycle and you want to carry a blade, it's super nice having an OTF. It's also nice having a small fixed blade, but depending on if you're riding a sport bike, a crotch rocket, then a fixed blade's not really that comfortable and not really practical for riding that type of a motorcycle. But on a cruiser, adventure bike, touring bike, big ass bagger, whatever, anything that's not that you're sitting on it in a much more comfortable position, relaxed position, then OTF and freaking small fixed blade is the way to go, for sure. So when John presented this at Blade Show Atlanta this year, to the first weekend in June. The second that I saw it, I had to touch it. And when I picked it up and actuated it for the first time, my heart just cried. My heart swelled up with pure joyous love, and I knew pretty much instantly that I had to have one of these. Really, really, really had to have one of these. And this piece of shit chair keeps sinking down on me. So, really, Scott, really. In sport bike, you got to wear a katana on your back. No, thank you. My older son has a katana. But yeah, no, I would not. You would not ever catch me doing that. But yeah, so I fell in love with this thing and was crushing on it ever since. If you don't know, I've been bringing it up all the damn time, always talking about it. Just super excited to get it. And they drop tomorrow, Saturday, November 4th. It's what, 10 p.m. or not p.m. 10 a.m. Pacific time. Here, I'll go ahead and pull it up. Yep, 10 a.m. Pacific. That's 12 Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Maddie, I don't know what the hell that time that ends up being for you for Arizona. I don't know. But yeah, there you go. Saturday, November 4th, 10 a.m. Pacific, 12 Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And they have the version that I got, which is the Stonewash blade right there. And then they also did a two-toned brushed satin. So you have the horizontal brushing on this blade stock part of it itself, and then on the swedge at the top and at the end, as well as the hollow grind, beautiful hollow ground magnet cut blade. Those parts are all vertical. So, yep. And the actuator switch and the pocket clip is titanium, and with aluminum scales. Your high quality aluminum. What's the aluminum? Milled T6 6061. That's your marginally better quality aluminum. So yes, my version, the Stonewash blade starts at 260. Then you switch to the belt satin. It jumps to 270, so just $10 more to get that belt satin. And then if you want to snazz it up hardcore with the Zircotai clip, that clip is 99 bucks. I kind of flattered with the idea of getting the Zircotai clip, but 99 bucks is hard to bite down on for just the clip. If it was the clip and the actuator switch, that would have been sweet. It would have been friggin' money if it was the clip, the switch, and all the hardware screws. That would have been dope. And that would have been sick. For 110, 115 bucks to have all of that be the Zircotai, I might have gone for that one. But because it's just the clip, I'm opting out of that. I'm gonna pass on that. So I gotta say, for the materials, having that hologram MagnaCut blade, the fit and finish, the quality, the action of it, it's just I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, so if you're into it, drops tomorrow. Get one. They will probably go fast. Ian, no comment. No comment on that one. High quality aluminum. So like Coke can, not Pepsi can. That's funny. Yeah, Ian. On Instagram, my most recent post of this guy on Instagram, I did a little video clip, a video short with it sitting on top of the wife's tablet with the pulse rate thing going beep, 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 and her old stethoscope. So I was playing off of that. I love puns. If you haven't noticed, I love puns. I'm all about them puns. So the pulse comes in your typical standard EMP EDC cardboard box with some stickers, and one thing that was nice that I was actually a little surprised to see, especially on a sub $300 one, is he includes, at least was included in mine, a spare spring. So this super duper spring got an extra one. That was pretty sweet. It was actually in the in one of the pockets of the soft pouch that comes in the box. So yeah, it's pretty cool that he hooks you up with a second spring. That's nice because I'm telling you, the fidget factor on this sucker, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's so damn much fun that yeah, I could see you eventually wearing out that spring and needing a new spring in it. So that's fantastic that he includes that piece of hardware from the get-go. Oh, he and I talked, John and I talked at Blade Show. I mentioned to him because I asked him and said, "Is the Pulse going to come in a cardboard box, or is it going to come in like a hard case?" And he said he's just done it up to set it up to come in the box, and he's purchased the boxes. I was like, darn, you missed out on the opportunity because of it being an OTF and because of the badass looking tactical-ish, Warren Cleaver-ish, sheep's or Warren Cliffy, reverse Tonto-y, whatever you want to call this type blade. This is a wicked blade, especially for an OTF. I kind of felt like I told him that I honestly felt like it would have been better, would have been sweeter if it had come in a hard case, a tactical hard case, like this one from Basti that my Mayhem arrived in. Even the Cobra Tech, sorry. Even my little $100 Cobra Tech that I picked up years ago, it came in a hard case. So, and this is an interesting little hard case. This sucker, as small as it is, again, Mayhem hard case, Cobra Tech hard case. But this guy has 1, 2, 3, 4. Has 2 side latches and 2 front latches. Like, you can really anchor this freaking thing down for a little tiny case this size. That's a lot of snappy clips to keep this thing closed up, sealed up tight. So yeah, I was surprised that such a small little case had all 4 closures. and it's pretty nicely padded. What's sweet is that this guy fits in there, but so does your Olight Arcfield. He fits in there. How cool is that? So I've actually, this case, the Cobra Tech case, had the Cobra Tech verbiage word right there. Their branding was right there, but I was able to, with just a dot of finger polish remover, nail polish remover, I was able to remove that logo, so now it's an unmarked hard case that I can put stuff in. The pulse fits in it, but just barely fits in it. So yeah, I could actually put. I bet I could possibly squeeze 2 Pulse OTFs in there. I can definitely fit the Pulse and the Cobra Tech. Yeah, so I can fit both of those in there. But anyways, I felt like John kind of missed the opportunity, had the opportunity and didn't take it. I would pay an extra $10. I would pay instead of $260 if he had included. Well, I would have preferred a case that's about halfway in between the sizes of these two. Would have been perfect for the Pulse. And if he had done the hard case, I would have paid $275 instead of $260. I would have absolutely have been happy to give another $15 to get a nice little hard case for it. That would have been awesome. So yeah, he contacted me, messaged me last Thursday, not yesterday, but a week from yesterday. And he contacted me and said, "Hey, I know how much you've been crushing on this thing. Really appreciate you talking about it all the damn time. It helps with the advertising, helps with getting the word out to people." And so he was so gracious to let me, as being a first in line customer, essentially, he allowed me to go ahead and purchase mine a little bit early. So, bless him for doing that for me. I was like, I wasn't excited enough about the Pulse drop finally happening, but the fact that he allowed me to very because when drops on knives like this happen, I don't know about y'all, but my anxiety goes through the fucking roof. Like I'm sitting here just like puffing on my cigar and just downing liquor because I'm so stressed about making sure that I don't miss the drop and then I don't miss out on getting the knife that I've been crushing on for so many months. I'm a nervous wreck when it comes to those drops. So the fact that he saved me from that, gotta love John. Really, really appreciate him doing that for me. I wasn't the only one. Tri-State got to jump in on getting his early as well, which deservingly so. Him and his wife helped out John and his wife run the EMP EDC booth on all 3 days of Blade Show Atlanta. So yeah, and you know how Cole is. He loves EMP EDC. So I'm happy that he was able to get one early too. Well deservingly. He worked his ass for it. Yeah, are you really? See, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I will take a non-clocked out 40-minute break to make sure that I get what I want. If I want it that bad, I will make sure that I get it. Hey, Zach Attack, what's up, man? How you doing? CDC, Crispy Donut Community, definitely, man, they are rolling. They are rolling with their with the knives and the patches. Oh, I'm excited. I was stoked also that they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be in the pass around of the pimped out. What's the name of it? I'm sorry, I feel terrible. I can't keep up with names of all these knives. What's the new CDC knife that they're doing in titanium? Why am I having a brain fart? I'm having a brain fart, and I feel terrible for having a brain fart. The Hanson, God, smack me upside the back of the head. Duh, the Hanson. Thank you, Zach. I'm sorry. I'm so damn sorry. Yeah. Yeah, the Hanson. Such a sweet knife. Really awesome design. I'm so happy for you guys and the success that you're having with that. And I'm thrilled, really, really, truly thrilled to be able to get in on that pass around. I feel a little bad that Sharif is at the end of the list. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but yeah, I will absolutely not take more than 3 days before I get it in the mail to him, because yeah, Sharif's an awesome dude. He's a big time supporter of the crispy donut community, as most of just about everybody knows. And yeah, I won't take too long with it. Just long enough to enjoy checking it out and throw up a video and take about 4 or 5 photos. Good photos. Get some good photos. Did he really ask? I don't believe that. I don't believe that. He has to be at the end, probably because he wants to take his sweet ass time with it. He doesn't want to have to be choked to hurry up and pass it along. He's like, I just want to spend time with it. If that's the case, I don't know. If you haven't checked out, Sharif is looking. It's been in the planned works to set up a different podcast. I don't know if it's going to be a podcast. I need to talk more with him about it, or if it's going to be just a live series that he does on what was it? He put it up. He messaged me, and then he also, and I've been teasing him about it, kind of in a friendly way, giving him shit. He wants to do a cigars, steaks, and pew-pews. Cigars, steaks, and pew-pews. And he's done up the stickers already, so I don't know when he's going to get them in. But he sent that to me, and I said, sounds like a good channel for me to host, and you be my star guest. So he was a good sport and laughed about that. And then I said, if you prove to know your stuff, I guess you could be a co-host. He hasn't replied to that yet, but I've been teasing him about it. Because I mean, if you don't know, my brother sells beef and takes care of his wife's family's farm of Black Angus cattle, and they sell beef. So that's their business. And he personally then has chicken houses where he raises chickens. So that's what my younger brother does. And so I get my beef, most of my meat, beef directly from him, directly from their farm. And it's really, really good stuff. If you've ever had or heard of Omaha Steak Company, they have really good stuff. They're a little pricey, but they're really, really good stuff. The Brush Creek Farm, that my brother is a part of and sells, better. Hands down better. No contest. Definitely better. So, if anybody knows beef, if anybody does a shit ton of grilling of steaks, I should be kind of placed at the top of the list because I do a lot and I know a lot and I've learned a lot. That's a brilliant idea, Ian. GAT, gunpowder, Angus, tobacco. And then the other thing is, I've been smoking cigars for right about 6 years now. Yep, 6 years. I had my first cigar when I turned 30 for my 30th birthday, and I just turned 36 right about a little less than a month ago. So yeah, 6 years I've been enjoying cigars, and just like everything else that I full-heartedly indulge myself with, I research the hell out of. I learn as much as I can, as fast as I can, and get as much experience as I can. So yeah, and then besides the fact that I was military and shot a lot of guns for many years, owned quite a number of firearms, sold firearms at Academy Sports and Outdoors, I know a lot about that stuff too. So yeah, I think what do y'all think? Should Sharif and I do that together, or should he at least have me as a frequent guest for his episodes, for his lives that he does, or should he and I totally do it together? Try to do every live together, kind of like a Manus Faction and Said Stevie duo. Hopefully he will like the idea of that. I think he and I work well together. He and I can talk. I mean, sure. Well, Sharif can talk to anybody. Period. For the most part, he's a swell guy, and he's very good with his demeanor and balance and reading of people. He's really good. He's really good at that, and being respectful and debating rather than arguing. So he's really good at that. I could probably do better because sometimes I go more into arguing than debating. But yeah, no, I think he and I would have a lot of fun and do really well talking about that stuff. We could have a insane amount of conversations about that stuff. And I think I have a lot to offer to bring to the table of being able to discuss all three of those topics. And with those three topics, we'll go ahead and dive right into that part of today's live, shall we? Like I said, I started. Well, we'll do the alcohol first. We'll do the alcohol first. Again, I've not had any issues with getting addicted to alcohol. If you have, that sucks. If you've had to overcome it and need to stay absent from it, all the power to you. All the power to you. You living your best life possible is the most important thing. So if alcohol cannot be in that equation, then I fully understand that and I fully support you with it. For me, I have no issues. I don't. I've never felt like I needed to have alcohol in my life. There's times where I've gone a handful of months without even thinking about having an alcoholic beverage. Just not even thinking about it. Don't care. Don't need it. You know, I've when I went on a really really big diet for about 7.5 months, I am 100% cold turkey, no problem. Went without alcohol for the sake of that diet, so that I could lose about 65 pounds of weight, and got fit as hell. That was pretty sweet. The wife would love for me to do that again. I just don't want to give up the things that I love, like pie and popcorn and cookies and ice cream and alcohol. But yeah. So with that said, I started drinking way too young. See, that is fantastic, Neil, and I am all for that. That is fantastic. If you don't need it, and if you're better without it, hell yes. Um, but yeah, so I started drinking, and I swear to you, I'm not an alcoholic, but I started drinking alcohol when I was 11. I would finish as an 11, 12, 13 year old. I would steal sips of my mother's wine when she was drinking wine in the evenings. She didn't know the wiser. My dad did. My dad knew. Um, yeah. So my parents, my family, my dad's side of the family, especially, coming from Germany, being Germans, and then also living in Peru in South America, um, alcohol, mainly wine, is a very favored indulgence within my family historically. So I mean, as a little kid, we were always going to wineries. My parents were always taking us to wineries. Every family meal, uh, where extended family came and visited, or we went to my grandparents' place, there was always wine, always wine. My dad used to drink beer on a somewhat regular basis. Uh, Nobody on my father's side of the family has ever had an addiction problem, as far as I know, and I know my family history pretty well. My mom's side, my one of my uncles actually has an alcohol addiction. He's been to rehab twice. So again, I understand how difficult dealing with that is, because I have one of my own uncles that fights it every day, and I can understand how miserable that can be. So, I used to steal sips of wine from my mom, and then when I got into high school, I was not really big with going to parties. The few parties that I ever went to when I was in high school were we were better behaved teenagers at those parties than what you see in teenage movies, and what people often talk about, what you might get as a story from Shane on Edgy American. Boy, is his stories crazy with booze and women. But yeah, no, I was not that kind of a party animal, and I was not allowed to be raised that way. My parents would not let me um, venture into those avenues, as much as I may have been tempted. I was a good boy for the most part. I got into trouble elsewhere, doing other things that I shouldn't have been doing at that age. I was a pretty big daredevil, so I was doing scary shit, uh, with your extreme adventure style sports. You know, the whitewater kayaking, the rock climbing, um, mountain biking, downhill mountain biking, uh, that kind of stuff. Skydiving. That was where I was doing things that most teenagers my age were absolutely not doing. So uh I got into my dad's liquor cabinet and started throwing some hard liquor in with coffee that I would then take to school with me in a thermos in the morning. And without it, I don't know how the hell I would have made it through my science class. I always had all 4 years of high school. I had science as my first class in the morning, and sure enough, I had a little too much. Had brought a little too much and was feeling a little buzzed at 8:30 in the morning, and my particular science teacher that day was going over why the sky was blue, and she was milking it as much as possible to take up as much class time as possible, because I guess she did not have much more than that set to be the lesson plan for the day. And so I was I was tired, a little bit buzzed, and really irritated by how much she was going on and explaining why the sky is blue. It's really not that much to discuss. So, uh, with my head down like this, below the edge of my desk, with my arms on the top of the desk like this, and I'm, basically staring at the floor with a little bit of a buzz and still tired. I said, nobody gives a shit. Just yelled it out loud. This was in 10th grade. 10th grade. Yeah, I shouted out in class, nobody gives a shit. And I had to go talk to the assistant principal. I brought my thermos with me and sipped on my coffee, my spiked coffee, as I talked with the assistant principal, being in trouble for my outburst in class. Yeah. Yeah, that's the some of the more extreme amount of trouble that I got into in the school during class time. There's a couple other things, but that was one of them. That was one of the big you fucked up moments. Yeah. Luckily, I didn't get in that much trouble for it. I didn't even get. I don't remember what happened other than a really stern talking to and maybe a write up, but I didn't get detention. I wasn't suspended or expelled or anything like that. It was just hey, you're a good kid. You need to keep your mouth shut. Don't want to hear that language from you. That was kind of the gist of it. So I was like, yep, okay, I'm sorry, my bad. And then got to go back to class. So I got let off the hook pretty easily. And nobody ever, none of the teachers, none of the faculty ever found out that I was drinking when I was drinking. So, yeah, bad. Shame on me. But yeah, I was never addicted to it and never felt like I needed it. But then when I got into the Navy and there were parties in the Navy, especially with me being a CB, I spent a lot of time around Army and Marines, and so went to a number of parties with those fellas, with those guys and gals, and in fact, I don't think I ever went to, other than the CB ball and the Navy ball, which is weird because that's when all the higher ups get shit faced. So you're seeing all of your bosses get trashed and their slutty wives get trashed. Like, to me, that's just awkward. I was not a fan of that. But yeah, so I got into hard liquor when I got into the Navy, and just, to me, it's always been about flavors. So, and I apparently it took a long time for me to figure this out, and it was mostly due to my broken back problem and how I figured out my liver overproduces the enzymes that breaks down things such as alcohol, as well as all of your pain-based medications, all of your oxy-based pain medications. So, uh, you know, Tylenol and ibuprofen does almost nothing for me, because what happens is when I take something like hydrocodone or oxycontin or Vicodin, something like that, that's pretty intense stuff if you've ever had that, and people get addicted to those. Obviously, all of your whole war on opioids is surrounded by those hard pain meds. Taking those basically provided the amount of pain relief that most people get from popping just one Tylenol pill or just one ibuprofen. So what my body does, what my liver does, is as soon as it gets those things into my system, it chews it up super fast and spits it out. So I get that pain relief feeling much more mild and for a much shorter period of time. And when you've got a busted back and you're dealing with pain on a daily basis, it sucks. It really sucks. I hate it. I hate that my liver does this. I don't know if it'll ever change on its own, if it'll start to slow down as I get older and not making as much of those enzymes that breaks all that crap down. I don't know. I have no idea. I had to do blood work and urine and a couple of other tests. I did 2 CAT scans in order to figure out why my body was not receiving the amount of relief that it should when taking these medications, as well as when I did the steroid shots for my lower back. And those steroid shots, which is not exactly a fun procedure to do, but yeah, they were not giving me anywhere near the amount of relief that they were supposed to. And so everybody was scratching their heads as to why. So they had to figure that out. The other thing is like when I got my sedatives to put me under for those procedures, for those steroid shots, and usually within minutes. Oh, phone rings. Within minutes, that stuff knocks you out. I mean, that's what it's supposed to do, right? It's a sedative. It would knock me out, and then I would wake up and feel everything like not even a quarter into the way of the procedure. Like I'd be on the operating table on my stomach with that epidural sized needle shooting the steroid injections into my lower back, and I'd wake up and feel every bit of it, and then be like, hey doc, what's up? That shit hurts. So yeah, laughing gas. When I've had dental work and had to have laughing gas, when I had braces and then ended up getting stitches on my gum because they brought my teeth all together because I had massive spacing in between my front teeth. When they closed all those teeth up and brought them all forward, it pinched my gum. So I had to cut my gum, and I had like 3 or 4 stitches right there in the gums, right there in between my top 2 front teeth, and that shit hurt. But yeah, they put me on laughing gas and nothing. They couldn't put the dose high enough without being considered lethal, legally lethal, um, to relieve me of feeling the pain. So yeah, my body is just, it accepts all of that. I also found out when I went to the gas chamber for the first time at boot camp that mustard gas, tear gas, does nothing to me. So how freaky was that, standing there in a room with like 60 other guys and a few gals, and everybody's like spitting and snorting and sneezing, and eyes are just leaking, and they're miserable, and I'm standing there feeling totally fine, totally normal. A couple of people threw up, puked, and got escorted out. But yeah, I'm just standing there, not understanding, completely clueless as to why everybody else is doing what they're doing, and I'm not being affected. So that was really weird, and it kind of scared me at first. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? So alcohol goes right through me. It really, really goes right through me. I've never, and I've, in experimentation sake, in a very safe environment with very trustworthy people around me, at a very young age, I tested. I was like 20. Was testing my limits, my body's limits, into how much alcohol it could consume before it was dangerous. Yeah, 20 years old, just wanted to figure it out. I was curious. I was always been a daredevil, so yeah. So I drank myself silly one night, and woke up like 4 or 5 hours later. I'd thrown up. I at least thrown up. My body rejected it. It got to a point where it was like no more. So I threw up, and my trusted persons, took me into the house and took me into the shower, and was standing there in my boxers, and they were hosing me off, and I ended up. They felt like it was best that I just pass out in the shower, in the bathtub part of the shower there. So I woke up about 4.5, 5 hours later in the bathtub in my boxers, feeling a little cold, and no hangover. No hangover. I got up, cleaned myself up, got dressed, went in the kitchen, made breakfast for everybody. And everybody else didn't wake up until like 10:30, 11:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Most of them with hangovers, feeling terrible, totally groggy, but super appreciative that I made breakfast, that I made coffee, and they're just like, whoa, dude, you drank more than any of us. You were totally gone. How do you not feel like shit? And I was like, I don't know. I am far from a superhuman dude. And I honestly, I would trade my liver out with anybody in a heartbeat for the sake of my back pain. I really would. I would love to not have my liver. I will take it back. I don't want anybody else to have my liver, especially somebody who deals with chronic pain, because it sucks not getting the relief that I want. That part really, really sucks. The only benefit to having a liver like this is that I don't deal with hangovers, and then I really don't get drunk. It sucks that I can't keep a buzz for very long, because again, stupid ass livers chews it up and spits it right out. So because of that, maybe that's part of why I've never felt like I've got an addiction problem with alcohol. Have no problem going without it. And why I do enjoy it is because I enjoy all the different flavors. So a lot of the whiskeys and the rums and stuff and scotch that I choose are very flavorful uh, batches of stuff. Because there's no point in me trying to drink to get drunk, to trying to hang on to a buzz as long as possible. It's really difficult. It's almost impossible for me. So like there's no point in that. So I enjoy the flavors. So and because I'm a cheap ass, most of the hard liquor that I drink and beers that I drink are on the cheaper end, are less expensive. So that's also why I feel like I can bring a lot to the table in discussion of alcohol choices and selections, is because the vast majority of my experience is with the more budget friendly varieties. And so, what I'm going to show you right now, my first choice for a very well balanced 80 proof, which means 40% alcohol by volume, whiskey is actually Canadian whiskey. And it's this guy right here. It's Black Velvet. It's a Canadian whiskey, and it's got just enough of a caramel taste. It's it's a sweeter caramel. It's not an oaky mesquite it's not a smoky type whiskey. It is definitely a sweet whiskey um, with caramel notes to it. And they are, at least here on the southeast coast, they're less than $16 a bottle for a 750 milliliter bottle. Very inexpensive, really good whiskey that does not have a bite. Like, the bite on it is extremely minimal. It is a very smooth, caramely sweet, average whiskey for an insanely good price. This is a fantastic whiskey that I enjoy drinking with a splash of um, mainly root beer and cream soda. Is my go-to sodas, to throw a splash of soda with some ice in this whiskey. It's a good whiskey to for cooking, for sautéing, because of that sweet caramely notes to it. So it works really well for that. If you want to bake, even it's a really good budget option for throwing into baking as well as cooking and sautéing. So yeah, really good whiskey. I like that. It's my favorite Canadian whiskey. Now, the next one is for peanut butter fans, and I've had a lot of peanut butter fans. Of course, I know how to make an old fashioned. That's one of my wife's favorite hard drinks is old fashions. She almost always orders old fashions. Yeah. So, if you're a peanut butter fan, if you've ever had a peanut butter flavored whiskey, there's quite a number of them. And what I have here is my favorite, least expensive one. This is a great peanut butter whiskey. And my experience with trying about 6 or 7 different peanut butter whiskeys that I've tried. Um, the the tricky part of a good peanut butter whiskey is peanut butter. If you've tried different peanut butters from different brands, companies that make peanut butter, there's peanut butters that have more of an iron taste to it, more of a harder, nutty taste to it, and then there's the light and creamy taste, and then there's the super sweet taste. So you have that spectrum of a very hard, irony, almost a tinny metal tasting peanut butter to a very smooth and very sweet tasting peanut butter. And so with that, you also notice that with trying different peanut butter whiskeys, peanut butter flavored whiskeys. And so the Rams Point, for again where I live here on the southeastern coast, less than $16 for a bottle, $16 for this bottle is what I'm paying for these days. I actually just bought this guy a couple of days ago. Really, really nice, smooth, well balanced flavor of peanut butter for a whiskey. And he is 70 proof, 35% alcohol volume. So yeah, 70 proof. I almost never drink any whiskey or bourbon based whiskey, scotch, stuff that's anything less than 70 proof. Very rarely do I drink anything that's lighter weight than that. I like your stronger stuff. A lot of your common, little bit more expensive bourbons and whiskeys. Buffalo Trace is great. Four Roses is great. Elijah, is it Elijah? I don't know. There's so many, but small batch versions of a lot of your common whiskeys that are and bourbons that are in the $25 to $65 price range. Oh, and there's so much in that range. There's a lot of them that are really good. The thing with those whiskeys is you're gonna find more of your smoky flavor to it, your more nutty flavor and your spicy flavors in those whiskeys. And because of that, and they're going to be 80 proof, 90 proof, 100 proof. And they smell freaking fantastic too. That's right, Ed. You are not wrong. Those whiskeys are great when you develop your palate. And you don't mind the swallowing part, the little bit of a bite, and some of them can have quite a bit of bite. So if that doesn't bother you, if you're good with the bite, if you can handle a bite, then yes, those particular popular and common whiskeys and bourbons that are in that $25 to $65 price range, you can enjoy the hell out of. Those are typically the ones that you would then do the tobacco smoking infusion process. I've done that before. I don't have one of those setups personally, but I've used them. I have a couple friends here in town that have them and use them. Jeremy Sears has a lot of videos on that stuff and really dives into that stuff because he's all about his whiskeys. So yeah, I learned quite a bit. I watched a lot of his videos and learned quite a bit about that stuff and that process and what whiskeys are good to do and bourbons are good to do that the smoking infusing process. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of good stuff. But again, because I'm all about the flavors, and the wife doesn't do quite so well with your whiskeys that have more of a bite to them. So that ends up usually hardly ever. Those whiskeys do not come into my house very often because she won't drink them. and I like to throw a splash of whiskey into my food when I'm cooking as well. But and then I also like to throw whiskey into my coffee. So, and that's actually what I have been drinking. Where did I sit my coffee cup down? Here it is. It's up here. Yep. So that's what I've got in here. Is coffee infused with this stuff. This is the bourbon ball cream done by Old Smoky, Tennessee whiskey. And they're housed up in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Really sweet place, really fun town. The wife and I really enjoy all their flavored whiskeys. They do some fantastic flavored whiskeys and a massive variety. Uh, Along with Old Smoky, another good whiskey brand that is doing more and more of that and cranking out lots of different flavors is Bird Dog. And you can't go wrong with Bird Dog. Bird Dog and Old Smoky are very comparable with each other. They both do a fantastic job. I particularly like the let's see, my favorites are the maple, like maple syrup type maple infused whiskey. And I also like the cookie dough whiskey. Those are very tasty. I really, really enjoy those. So yeah, Ed, you make a really good point that I was discussing is when you really open up your mind and allow your palate to experiment and develop and get comfortable with a lot of these different whiskeys and bourbon based whiskeys and not gin, scotch. I'm more pro scotch and could care less about gin personally, but yeah, Jameson's good, but it's also not for the. I would say that it's not a good choice for beginners, and I feel like certain whiskeys will turn people off, and then they'll avoid whiskey altogether and say that they don't like whiskey because of whichever ones they tried first. If you are a bit of a whiskey or bourbon connoisseur, and you invite friends over that do not have the palate or the knowledge that you have, do not offer them something that you really like, that's something that you did not discover it at the beginning yourself and enjoyed from the get-go. Offer them something that's easier to palate, easier to swallow, and that you probably enjoyed at the beginning of your stages of seeing what all that particular realm of hard liquor is. So yeah, the bourbon ball cream stuff. This is good. The wife just picked this up. She's gonna. This is good in the coffee. There's lots of other cream liqueurs that are bourbon / whiskey based cream liqueurs, which is fantastic, not only in coffee, but in mainly iced coffees, and then also chocolatey based smoothies, or not smoothies, milkshakes. Putting that stuff in milkshakes is delicious as well. Crown Royal is not a bad choice, especially for visitors, because it is a very well known, and I think that a lot of people get Crown Royal can be their gateway into whiskeys. But again, I would actually I would rather serve somebody who's only ever tried whiskey maybe 1 or 2 times and can't remember what they tried. Or if, and I like to ask them, I say, if you've tried whiskey before, what did you try? And did you feel like it had a hard bite and was difficult to swallow, or was it no problem for you? If their answer to that is something like Jack Daniels or Crown, and they say that it was difficult to swallow, that they didn't like the bite so much, then this is what I pull out. This is what I have them try, because it does not have hardly any bite. It's got just that light caramely sweet notes. This is a great beginner's whiskey, and it's a great whiskey to use to pull people back towards being open-minded about drinking whiskey, who may have been torn away from it and rejected it because the first whiskeys that they tried was something that had a lot of bite to it and was difficult for them to swallow, and they didn't like that. And so they're like, well, I don't like that. Whiskey's not for me. You have a really good chance of pulling them back into exploring whiskeys and exploring different bourbons by offering them something that is super smooth. It's super easy to swallow. But yeah, apple flavored whiskeys are really good. Right now, I wish I did, but I don't have any. Don't have any Scotch right now. Let me pull rum. I have 2 rums that I enjoy the most. Let me go grab the one of them real quick. One of my favorite rums, and probably at the top, is Southern Comfort. I love my SoCo, and it is rum, but it's probably closer. It's kind of a bridging rum from whiskey to rum, in my opinion. Another fantastic rum that is truly a full-fledged rum is your Bacardi Gold. And this is what I would first give to a newbie that's not had rum. Crown is good. I love this particular bottle of Bacardi Gold. This is an excellent rum, especially for thrown in with using for a pina colada and some couple of your other very well known rum based mixers. Yes, cannot go wrong with some Bacardi Gold. Beautiful rum, very flavorful rum. So I'm sorry you feel that way, brand new. Yeah, and again, you can get some really good stuff if you're willing to fork out the money. But I favor the treasures that can be found and are plentiful in the $15 to $30 price range. There are quite a number of selections that are freaking awesome in that budget-friendly price range. You just gotta do a little bit of research and try them out. Try them out with an open mind and a thirsty palate. That's what it really boils down to. See, yeah, and you missed me talking about that, bud. You missed me having that discussion and the, that part of my life today. But yeah, so that's for now covers the alcohol. I'm not gonna go into beers. Maybe next Friday I'll cover beers. I am have quite a bit of experience with beers as well, and have definitely found my favorites and my go-tos with beer. So let's jump into cigars. If y'all want to stick around for cigar talk, if you don't, thanks for popping in. Don't forget the EMP Pulse is dropping tomorrow. We are way less than 24 hours now. Yeah, so exciting. Don't tell my wife, but I want to try to snag another one. I want to try to snag another Pulse OTF. I really do. I would love to snag another Pulse. So, cigars. I only have one particular one with me right now because, let's see, during the summertime, during the stinking hot months down here on the coast with our freaking nightmarish humidity that makes things miserable, I usually only have a cigar about once every 5 or 6 weeks. It's usually during summertime. I don't mind taking one with me when we go to the beach. When I go to the beach, and I sit on the beach and enjoy a cigar, and I get a thing of boiled peanuts. I love my boiled peanuts, and that's a fun snack to have and enjoy on the beach with a beer and a cigar. So that's kind of my thing when I go to the beach. It's been that way for a many number of years now. But yeah, so I started smoking cigars when in the winter months and the colder months. I end up going from the summertime every 5 to 6 weeks. Then when it gets cold, it's more like one every 2 weeks. It's a little more frequent, just because of the weather. Ed, I've had Whistle Pig. It's decent. It's got a bit of a bite to it, and I felt like I just wanted more flavor from it than what was there, but it's not bad. It's a good choice if you can get it at the lower price end of what they go for. Ian definitely wants to ride in my sidecar now. I don't have a sidecar, man. Probably never gonna have a sidecar. Not on that bike. Not on that bike. But I love the idea. I love the idea, buddy. I really, really do. Randy's popping jokes. I had a Whistle Pig. Mine was a bit gamey. Did it have a kazoo stuck up its ass? Just kidding. But all right, so let's talk about cigars. Cigars. I had my first cigar when I was 30. I waited till I was 30. Again, because my grandfather smoked cigars, and he probably smoked cigars about as often as I do now. My mom's dad. Yeah, that's. Oh, really? You smoke? Smork. You smoke way more when the weather's warm? That's interesting. Huh, that's interesting. I just don't like having to go because I'm avoid as much as I can smoking in the home. Because of what the smoke does to the paint and to the ceiling.
You almost done with your life?
I'll be done soon, but
Yeah, you've been on there.
Yeah, this has been one of my longer lives. Get out of here. Let me finish. Let me finish up. Let me finish up. Okay, whatever. Suburban, impatient. He's not. He's got many more years of learning patience, but yeah, no, it's because I, even though I'm gonna light up one now. I normally don't smoke in the house. The wife prefers that I don't smoke in the house. It's not good for the home. Um, for the smell tends to linger. It can, you know, be an issue with, you know, on the paint on the walls and the ceiling and in fabrics, whatever. But so it's not good unless you create a designated smoking room with exhaust systems and a couple extra ventilation air vents for your AC system and whatnot. Um, there are actually certain paints that are more favorable, and typically when you designated a room in your home for smoking as a smoking and drinking room, you go with uh, your furniture is leather. You stay away from fabrics so that fabric doesn't soak up the smells of it and get nasty and start to look nasty over time. Yeah, there's lots of things you can do and should do to create a designated smoking room for cigar smoking, at least. But so my first cigar, and I researched, of course, like I do, right? So I researched cigars and tried to pick something that was very mild, very easy. Watching YouTubers and their recommendations, and then reading some articles here and articles there. Trying to figure out what everybody says are the top 3, top 5, top 10 best cigars for beginners. And the vast majority of these recommendations were very light Connecticut wrapped cigars that are very, very bland cigars, just not packed with flavor, not rich in the darker notes. More of them had actually a little bit of spice to them, especially at the end of the cigar. There you get more spice. So all of that makes sense for somebody who can't handle their stuff. But then I did read or watched some people talk about how when you go through the process of choosing a cigar, the cigars that you choose to smoke often mirror and should mirror the type of alcohol you drink. And after picking up my first cigar and trying my first cigar and like not enjoying it, I really did not enjoy it very much at all. I'm so glad that I came across and learned after that fact that I should have chosen something that mirrored the type of alcoholic drinks that I like and the type of food that I like. I like your richer, heavier flavored, oaky and chocolatey and coffee flavors, bacon and coffee and chocolate. That's what I like. That's what I like my drinks. That's how I like my food to taste. That's what I go for. And so why the hell didn't I choose a cigar that was designed that way and was infused with those type of notes of flavors? I do like spice. But I like a smoky spice with a little bit of sweet. I like sweet and spicy. when I go to pick my barbecue. I like sweet and spicy barbecue. Um, I very rarely do I like hickory and mesquite. I prefer a brown sugar bourbony, sweet and smoky spicy, not a fireball spicy. And so, yeah, that's what I should have tried. So I'm glad that I didn't knock off cigar smoking because of my first experience with my first cigar, which happened to be an Oliva, right? Oliva, Oliva, uh, with a Connecticut wrapper, a light colored leaf wrapper, and it was very spicy towards the end of it, and it was very just blah, no thrills, just very typical, super mild blended cigar. So it was just smoking a wrapped stick of tobacco leaf. Nothing exciting about it, and which was good in the fact that it allowed me to focus and practice on the method of smoking a cigar, of not inhaling it into my lungs. Because if you do that and you're not a hardcore cigarette smoker, then you're going to freaking cough up one of your lungs if you do that. That's not how you're supposed to smoke a cigar. So, yeah. And the reason why I got into cigar smoking was because of the fact that whiskeys and bourbons and scotch are often people who really get very heavily into those drinks pair cigars and smoke cigars with those drinks. And often cigars can enhance or change or more better balance out your notes in those drinks. So, really cool, really interesting. And I'm all about exploring that. So that's why kind of the main reason why I got into cigar smoking. There's also the cool factor. There's also the fidgety, something to do when you're sitting out in a rocking chair on your porch, that kind of a thing, or in a social setting. Um, Randy, yes, absolutely. If you heard me earlier in the live this evening, I absolutely love wine. I am all about your sweet and flavorful wines, your grape wines, your raspberry wines, your strawberry wines, uh, peach wines, even on occasion, mostly during the summertime. Um, but I really, really like wine. I enjoy wine. I enjoy the flavors of wine. And because of my parents, I've been to so many wineries. I've done so many winery tours and tastings, and the wife and I have a lot of fun doing that. I absolutely love that I was able to get my wife into doing wine tastings because I have so much fun with those. And I've really just over the years learned how to uh, not just develop my palate for what particular tastes I enjoy, but also learn what my palate, what my taste buds are picking up. And doing wine tastings with your eyes closed and just focusing on what your taste buds are picking up and what you're feeling on your palate, and thinking about what other foods and what particular flavors you're receiving. It can be so much fun. It can be so much fun. And that's I love wine, and I love my my bourbon based whiskeys and scotch. So yeah, love wine, and I love port too, and sherry. Sorry, mispronounced that, sherry. I love those as well. If you don't know what that is, look it up because that stuff is good stuff. It's expensive, but it's really good stuff. Um, it's an acquired taste though too, not just an acquired taste. Port and sherry are a much heavier, much more concentrated viscosity of a type of wine. I mean, it's not really wine. It's something. It becomes something entirely different from wine. But yeah, port is awesome stuff. Sherry is awesome stuff. Really good stuff. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. But yeah, so most of my cigars that I favor are one, they're inexpensive, obviously. I don't like to spend $15+ on a cigar. I really don't. I really, really don't. I if I can find a good cigar that I like for under $6-7, that's what I'm all for. That's what I'm all for. So, and I learned what particular flavors, what particular notes that I prefer in my cigars. And that doesn't necessarily require flavor infused cigars, because there are regular cigars that naturally are mixed with the different spices and different ingredients, like cocoa beans for getting that coffee flavor, and or chocolate flavor, and then your coffee beans for your coffee flavors, that kind of stuff. There, it's more of your sweeter flavors, like your caramels and your apple flavors, peach flavors, that then the cigars have to be infused with those. But otherwise, if it can be blended in a more natural process with other plants, then that's not deemed as an infused cigar. So the Nub brand has some infused cigars. Drew Estate is probably the most well-rounded, uh, best bang for your buck that you can pick up on. Like the factory smokes are a great Drew Estate made cigar that's in that $4 to $7 price range per cigar. Let's see, I actually listed a whole bunch here. So the Arturo Fuente makes some really good budget friendly cigars. The La Aroma de Cuba is good cigar. The Perdomo makes pretty good budget friendly cigars. Your factory smokes, again, done by Drew Estate. Your Drew Estates, period, are fantastic cigars, especially their flavored cigars. I happen to have, I mean, there's a bunch of them. There's some that I stay away from. I don't like the Oliva cigars. This particular one, again, because of the price and for what it is as flavors, these are my go-tos. These are the Trader Jack's Kickin' Cigars, done by J.C. Newman Cigar Company. And this is the midnight flavor of the Maduro. It is definitely a solid mixture of like a sweeter coffee and chocolatey smoke. It's not an infused cigar. They are, let me see, what does it say? The Midnight Blend features all these different tobaccos with a tasty Connecticut broadleaf Maduro wrapper. The Maduro is the darker wrapper leaf color. It gives you a deeper, darker smoke and notes. So they're not infused what they are is they once they're wrapped, once they're made, they're stored in containers with coffee and chocolate and other things. So they acquire more of the aroma than being actually infused. So yeah, they're kind of the halfway in between. But yeah, these are my go-to cigars. Now, when it comes to smoking cigars, you have several different ways. You have, first of all, your standard cutters. So you can cut the end off of it, the other end. You can cut the end off of it. That's the end that you light. It's the flat end. And then the rounded end. And then there's lots of different ways that they do this end, the one that goes in your mouth, and the different designs. They have torpedo cigars, and they have there's like 4 or 5 different ways that they wrap a cigar for different types of ends. And they do different things, and they allow you to smoke the cigar in different ways. But it also makes a difference in how you cut a cigar. So you got your standard cutters. Then you have punch holes, hole punchers. Where's my hole punching? My cigar punch. That's in one of these drawers up here, or did I sit it out? Uh-oh. Where's my cigar punch? Where did I put you? Uh-oh. I don't know where my cigar punch is. I thought he was in one. Here it is. Found it. Found it. So here's a cigar punch. So you have basically a little round circly deal that has a sharpened edge to it. So you just simply stick this guy into the center and you twist and push. And that will cut. I was trying to do it in front of y'all, but it's easier when I get a better look at it. And when you twist, it's important to twist it in the same direction that the leaves have been wrapped. And then you have other cutters that do like a V cut into it. So it's more like a just a V cut, which is like a wedge into it. I like the way the draw is on cigars that have the V cut done. They have V cutters that do that, actual cigar cutters that do that. Otherwise, you can take any sharp knife and just do it yourself. Do it yourself. There's nothing wrong with taking a very nice sharp knife, very sharp knife, a hair popping sharp knife, and making your V cut that way. Some people like to do for a very slow draw, which is good on a much thicker cigar. They like to do an X cut. And what that does, it allows you to have doing the X on a very large diameter cigar allows the cut to be, fulfill the full width, the full diameter of the cigar itself, but then at the same time prevent you from ending up with a very fast drawing cigar. Which will happen when you have a larger diameter cigar. So there's so much that goes into cigars, and there's so much to learn. I favor those darker flavored notes and the Maduro wrapper, the darker wrapper. That's what I've discovered. And I discovered it rather quickly, again, because I do pretty good research, and because I fully dive into it. I go off the deep end with it. So yeah, so that's what I prefer. And then as far as lighting it, you want to either use cigar matches, which are they're like normal matches. They're just a hair bit bigger and they have much longer stems. So that way you can hold the match there at the end for a longer period of time. But the key is not to ever use your standard Bic lighter that you would use on cigarettes or anything else. You want and the problem with the Bic lighters is that the lighter fluid will leave a unpleasant taste as it burns the tobacco leaf, and you will taste that fuel, that blended fuel. What you want is a pure butane lighter. Butane does not give off any yucky odor or flavor and does not ruin the flavors of the cigar. And it does help if I have a lighter that has plenty of lighter fluid. So Zippo obviously sells inserts that are your butane inserts. And I keep grabbing one that's empty. I need to fill these. I haven't filled these in a while. Don't I have the one that I carried with me the other day? Where did I put that lighter? I also have here it is. But Clipper, the Clipper lighter brand, they make lighters that look very similar to Zippos that actually are filled with butane. They're butane lighters. So here we go. So you start off with just the tip of the flame going around in a circle and making sure that you hit just the surface of the cigar, of the end of the cigar, and you're just kind of warming it. Until you fully heat it up. And then once you start pulling a draw through the cigar, then you can get just a little bit closer and truly get it fully lit and fully hot. And there you have it. That's easily how you light a cigar. Now, they do sell in cigar shops, at least the better ones. They sell cigar picks. I don't have one because I've gotten away with just using these little type picks that you can get at like a hardware store. So they're just little fine point picks. And so what you can do is if you end up, for whatever reason, and this usually happens with your more budget-friendly cigars, is the way the tobacco leaves are wrapped. They can have really tight wrappings in some spots, and therefore, even though you've cut it the way you've cut it at the end, you can get some restriction in your draw. So you can use a pick just right down the middle and go as far down as you feel like you need to open up the wrapping enough from the center to get a faster, more open draw. So yeah, so there's so much that you can learn and dive into. And if you remember when I made Stevie's pipe, his tobacco pipe, I didn't know anything about tobacco pipe smoking. I knew nothing about that. I knew nothing about tobacco pipes. So I had to wise my ass up insanely fast when it came to that, so that I could meet the challenge and make him one killer tobacco pipe. He's shown it off a number of times, and as far as I know, still enjoys using it. So, with a little bit of luck, I ended up making a pretty darn good tobacco pipe for the guy. So I'm happy that it turned out as well as it did, and it warms my heart knowing that he enjoys it and uses it and it works for him. And yeah. So yeah, that was such a great experience learning about how to make one of those pipes and about how to smoke those pipes and to take care of those pipes. It was cool. It was cool. Again, learned a lot and gained some good experience from doing that. Now, as far as storing cigars, this guy popped them and got them off of Amazon. This is a single cigar travel tube. So if you're just going out for the evening, you pull your cigar out of your humidor that you have at home. You throw it in. You can go ahead and pre-cut it if you want and throw it into this guy. That's what I do. And then I've got one cigar in a nice little hard protective tube that can go with me. And I can take one cigar with me, whether I'm going to the beach or I'm going out to a bar or an outside music venue, whatever the case. Going to a bonfire. Yeah. So these are awesome if you want something just to transport one cigar from point A to point B when you're going to smoke it at point B. If you are starting off and you only want to purchase 2 or 3 cigars at a time, or maybe even up to 5 or 6 cigars at a time, as you're trying different ones and discovering which ones you like, which ones you favor. There's lots. Again, easiest place to get them is Amazon. Is to get yourself a compact humidor or travel size humidor. I have this one, which has a leather outer to this case. It is bamboo wrapped on the inside, and it has one of those humidor hydration sticks. So what you do with this guy is you have the screen in there, the carboned screen, and you take distilled water, only distilled water. In a pinch, if you run out of distilled water and your cigars are drying out and they're not humid enough in your humidor case, you could use filtered water, but it's strongly recommended and preferred to use distilled water. And so what you do is you just sit this guy on the counter and you fill it up to the brim with distilled water, let it sit for about 5 to 7 minutes or so, and then you just shake it out, whatever water hasn't been soaked up by the screen and the carbon in there. You just shake a little bit of water out so you don't have any excess water. And then this guy goes in there and you put the top on, and the top has a humidity gauge. And so ideally for the vast majority of your cigars, you want it to be somewhere between 65 and 75 on your hygrometer is what they call it. Yeah, between 65 and 75 is ideal. That's your goal. You don't want it to go much below 65. Then your cigars start drying out, and yeah, that's no bueno. All right. So this is a good case. This particular one, and he's relatively inexpensive. I forget. They're well under 30 bucks, 30, 35 bucks is probably what they cost now. But this guy allows me to store an average of 5 cigars. Sometimes, depending on the diameter of the cigars, if they're the smaller, skinnier ones, I might be able to squeeze in 6 with the hydrating stick in there. Otherwise, it's 4 or 5. So if you're starting off, this is a great way to start, an expensive way to start that allows you to store up to 5 or 6 maximum cigars. If you want something, if you're going on vacation and you want to bring 2, 3, or 4, or possibly 4 cigars, then get a hard case like this is what I would recommend. This is a great little hard case that has the padding inside is done to hold the cigars, and you can put 4 of them in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, or a few fewer. And it's got one of those little hydration carbon pads up there in the lid part of it. So again, you just would set this on the counter, put a handful of drops of distilled water into that disc and let it sit for that 5 to 7 minutes, and then give it just a good single shake, and then put your cigars in there and close it up, and you're good to go. And this will keep them at the right amount of hydration level for about 2 weeks. For about 2 weeks before you would need to add some more water. About the same, a little bit longer with this guy, with the stick that comes in this guy. This stick, they go about a month, about 4 to 5 weeks before you need to rehydrate the stick so that you maintain. So that's a great way of doing that. I don't have anything larger than that. Technically, that is as a designated humidor. I should probably look into getting one. What I have been doing temporarily is when I buy a bag, because this is a bag of 20, and I get a bag of 20 for like 40, 45 bucks these days at my local. Again, South Georgia cigars are not nearly as expensive as they are up north or out west. So I'm paying a little less than $3 for each one of these, which is like dirt cheap for a pretty well wrapped, solid tasting cigar. But yeah, you can use cases. You can buy off of Amazon. You can buy just those sticks, which is what I've done. I've gotten a couple extra of those hydration humidor sticks, and I've got one of those little bitty mini can coolers that sits on my nightstand that can hold about 6 of your little mini soda cans. I've got one of those refrigerator deals that I don't plug it in. It just sits on my nightstand, and I've got one of those hydrating sticks in there with this bag. This is not Trader Joe's. This is a Trader Jack's. Trader Jack's. And they're made by J.C. Newman Cigar Co. Dang, Ross. Trader Joe does not sell cigars. That would be very hypocritical of them to do that, I would say. But so I put one of those hydrating sticks in that little fridge thing, and then I put this bag opened so the cigars stay in the bag so that the bag's opened up, and I leave the bag open and just have the hydrating stick in there like that. So that's what I've done. Once I get down to 6 cigars, 5 of them out of that bag, then I transfer them to the black tubed guy. So I've been able to get by with that because I don't bother to store that many cigars at any given time. Pretty sure they're gluten free. I'm not worried about that. But I'm sure that if you just bought those humidor sticks, and they've got little humidor pucks, little round pucks that do the same thing, that have the carbon filter, dude. If you did that, and then where did I set them down? And then just got a hard case and with a thin layer of that foam from inside of one of these, you could throw your cigars in this with one of those little humidor pucks or humidor, hydrating sticks, and basically you've got your, you don't have the beauty about this guy is that he has the actual gauge on the lid, and that way I know that my cigars are staying at the proper hydration levels. So that's the beauty about this guy, and that's what you would have ideally in a true humidor of larger size. But again, living down here in South Coastal Georgia, we keep enough humidity in our air, period. So I'm sure that even if I just left cigars laying out, unsmoked cigars just laying out on top of dressers, that they would not dry out. It would take them forever to dry out because we've just got enough moisture in the air, period. In the house, out of the house, everywhere. So that's kind of beating the bush around cigars and how I got into them, why I got into them, and what my I can show off one other thing. So because I love woodworking, because I do woodworking, I looked at different cigar trays and cigar boards, and what they have coined the name a smoke and drink tray. And so I went and I made some of my own personally. I first made a really big one that has a big ashtray and several cutouts, so you could have, and then it's got two coasters to it. So you and a buddy, or two guys, or three guys, or three people, not just guys. Sorry, don't mean to be sexist. Girls smoke cigars too. But yeah, so I made a larger tray first.
Get off.
In a little bit, Riley. Just leave me alone. Impatient kid. And then I decided that because I really don't have anybody that comes by that wants to hang out with me at my house that also smokes cigars. Yeah, here's the big tray. Here's the big guy. So there's the ashtray right here, and then it's got the 2 cup coasters. Yeah, I did that with this is made from a cutting board. This is just a cutting board that I bought, and then I took the handheld router and did my hole for this and did my holes for these guys, and then I also went and did these little brass coin accents. Did that in there. So I made this guy, right? So I made this guy and realized, it's just 99% of the time it's just me going out on the back deck or the front porch and enjoying a cigar and a glass of whiskey. So I was like, I really don't need this massive thing. So I've tried to sell it locally, and it's difficult posting it on Facebook Marketplace because of it being tobacco. For whatever reason, Facebook doesn't like that. So it's been hard to keep a post up, and I've just not had anybody really get interested in it. So I kind of gave up. I was just like, whatever, I don't care. So I made a smaller one, which is this guy, just a single, one person. And I even did the cutout for my Zippo lighter. So I can drop my Zippo lighter right into its own little slot, so he doesn't slide around. So I don't knock him and, accidentally going to pick up the cigar or going to pick up my drink. I don't knock him and make him go flying across my table. So, the cigar sits there, drinking the coaster there, and then and what I decided to use as my ashtray is one of those cast iron skillet guys, the little one, the little tiny one. And so I cut the handle off of it and grinded it down, and then recoated it, re-oiled it, so that it was seasoned, like one would be, like your cast iron skillets would be, and made that so that he fits in there like so. And then again with the felt cup coaster there. So I made this guy. So this guy came out awesome, and I love this one. And this one I use the most here at home. Pretty much every time that I'm here at home. The other one that I made then as my travel is this guy, and this was a lot of fun. This guy was a lot of fun. So this is my travel guy, and he's not perfect. I would have done my design just a little bit different if I were to go and make another one. But this guy, no cutout, just a bowl here, and no inserting bowl. This is just the wood itself, and the groove here for the cigar and the groove there for the cigar, so I can place my cigar on there in either direction depending on where I'm setting this down. And then the cup coaster, and it's on hinges, so it closes up, and he clicks together with little magnets. So I have little magnets in the one corner, which is just enough. It's good strength magnets to keep them closed, and so it stays closed. And then the hinges on the back, which I carved out so that they are almost completely flush with the wood here. So yeah, so I made this. So this guy's really cool because he can fit in a bag, in a travel bag, and go with me when I go places, when I go on vacation and whatnot. So yeah, love that. So I made those. That would be cool. If you watch my video on said Stevie's tobacco pipe, I also made a closing board, storage board for him, for his stuff, for his pipe. That came out pretty good. Not entirely how I had planned it in my head, but it still came out pretty good. And I don't know how much he uses that, but it at least it stores all the tools, all the stuff in it. It's just another way to store it. But yeah. Well, that's all I've got to talk about today. I think we've gone on long enough. Shit, it's already after 6. This has been a long live. Bravo. I was able to ramble long enough about enough stuff. So, yes, thank you, Ross. Yeah, I had fun. And again, every time you make something customized, you learn. You learn from each one that you do how to do things a little differently and make it a little bit better. And that's always the joy of that. But yeah, I tell you, going back to knives, at this point, there's not a knife that was showed at Blade Show or that is coming out soon that I care to have. There's not one out there right now. So that's rare. That's rare. I am so fucking happy. I am just so happy to have gotten this. And I cannot thank John enough for helping me out by allowing me to get this on the early side so I wasn't stressing, so I didn't risk having a damn heart attack on Saturday, tomorrow, trying to make sure I got one when they dropped it. So yeah, that's always a scary process when you want something that bad, and they've only got so many, and you have one narrow slender opportunity to acquire it. Nobody likes that. That's always a lot of stress. So, all right, thank you guys for tuning in. Those who stuck around, appreciate it. Dang Ross, Randy, Ed, Ian, T Fetch. Luke loves cigars and bourbon too. There's got to be plenty of us. I'm sure there's plenty of us in the knife community that also love our bourbon and even cigars and motorcycles. There's plenty of us that are all about the bikes too. But yeah, that's it for today. Let's end this thing. I'm sorry I rambled for so long, but appreciate you. Y'all have a good weekend. Obviously, no live or no giveaway today. May I don't know if I'll have one next weekend or next Friday. We'll see. We'll see. No promises. No promises at this point. If I do, it'll be a surprise. We'll leave it at that. All right. See you, Dang Ross. See you, Neil. Y'all have a good weekend. Peace.